All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dion's Daily Dose post CPU edition. So, just real quick on the whole computer front, I got the CPU installed, and always before you upgrade any computer components, make sure that you power off, unplug the power cord, flip the switch, all that stuff. Make sure there's no power going to the board. Put the new CPU in and powered it up, and it starts going through this weird loop on Windows, auto repair loop. Jack, hey, I'm not going to spend much time on what it did and all the issues that I had, but suffice it to say that last night was very, very frustrating. I was not able to get online in time. Even like I was still messing with it at 11 o'clock at night trying to get everything sorted. But after putting it through its paces today, everything seems to be working out. Everything seems to be good. So we got it sorted. Hopefully it will end up in an improvement. If not, then there are some other things that I can tweak and things that we can get going. But as far as I can tell, when I watch the diagnostic thing, it looks like it's performing better. The CPU is not as maxed out as it was. It is better, so it does seem to put less of a load on it. I'm watching it right now, and even with the streaming and movement and all of that, I'm not seeing. There's definitely not the kind of load that there was before. So today, we'll see what happens. This is my first live since the new CPU, so we'll see how it holds up. I'm hoping that it will do better, provide less lag, less issues, and I'll be able to really share some good information with you, and we can start deep diving on some good stuff. So we were out doing signs. I had wanted to do this a little bit earlier, get it, up like I normally do in advance, but we're putting up some more signs, stopped by family's house. Anytime that happens, the clock seems to go out the window. I looked at the clock and I'm like, we got to go. Anyway, so there's some interesting information that I don't have that right now is simply rumors. Okay. I don't have any official information about any of this stuff yet, but the information that I've heard about, let's make clear, I have heard some things. The first thing is that ArcelorMittal, apparently the people that are getting unemployment from ArcelorMittal, the way that the company is doing the unemployment, it makes it to where they're not able to qualify for that extra $600 a week. Now, if anyone has confirmation of this, if they can contact me, I'd like to get some confirmation of this and see if that's really what's happening, what's going on, and if so, maybe see if we can get something going. Talk to the company, because apparently, my understanding of it is if they say that the layoff is due to the pandemic, using the particular code for it, then that worker will qualify for that extra $600 a week. If they do not, if they say it's due to economic downturn or due to business loss, market fluctuations, things like that, then those people don't qualify. So I'd be interested if anyone out there knows someone who is working for ArcelorMittal that has gotten laid off and is not receiving that extra $600 a week. Please let me know. I'd like to talk to them. Moving on from that, I am hearing some very interesting things in conjunction with the PAC, this Denver PAC that is paying $103,000 to run ads for McDermott.
My friend's
Hold on.
husband is laid off from Arcelor. He is getting $600.
Okay, so apparently there are some people that are laid off from ArcelorMittal that are getting it, but I'm hearing there are some that are not getting it. So if you can, like, again, if you know someone that works for ArcelorMittal, has been laid off from there, and they are not receiving the extra $600 per week, please let me know. There's something that I have heard about regarding this road pack and some stuff that was going on with McDermott and this pack that spent $103,000. I've covered this before. There are some concerns about what kind of connection these people have, and it's really, really disturbing. I'm trying to find. Oh, and the other thing, you guys hear about this thing with Jim Lucas down in Indianapolis? Well, I say Indianapolis. He's more southern. I'm not sure exactly which district, but he is a lawmaker down south. And here, let's try our screen sharing out and see how this is working. Oh yeah. And then I gotta tell you about this Brandon. I guess there's this guy running. I don't know, what is he running for? State rep? Brandon Dothinger. Okay, so no, not that. Hold on. There it is. Okay. Oh, District 69, Seymour is where Jim Lucas is from. Okay. Now, let me show you. First of all, let's make this full screen. Now, this is my first real test to see how this is going to work, but here's the headlines of this. Now, this story is a couple days old, but lawmakers' racist meme spurs calls for resignation. Okay? Now, was it? Did it work good? Excellent. All right. So, State Rep Jim Lucas, R. Seymour, holds up a bottle of whiskey on the House floor January 25th, 2018, to make the point that alcohol annually kills far more Hoosiers than marijuana, and yet is a legal, plant-derived product regulated by the state. Representatives later voted 94-0 to recommend a study committee look into what it would take to legalize medicinal marijuana in Indiana. Now, here's the actual story. Northwest Indiana lawmakers are condemning a Facebook post by State Rep Jim Lucas, R. Seymour, that features an image of a nearly naked dancing African child and the words, "We don't get free money." On his social media feed, Lucas claimed the meme, which he admitted creating Monday night, was intended to mock people celebrating recent assistance payments made by the federal government amid the coronavirus pandemic. In his posts, Lucas noted he believes the government is overstepping its authority with those payments. The four-term state lawmaker from southern Indiana insisted the image was not racist, and in a subsequent Facebook post suggested those who viewed the image as racist were the real racists. I phrased it in a celebratory way and have danced and mocked things in that exact same manner myself. I'm white, Lucas said, but hey, it's a picture of a black kid, so I guess that makes it different, which, if you think that way, is the very definition of racism. This is all his quote. "This is the kind of garbage that divides us. I don't see nor look at the color of a person's skin, and I find it repugnant of those that do. I apologize for nothing," and the meme stays. Lucas later doubled and tripled down on his message by posting the "We Don't Get Free Money" over a photo of toothless white people and a photo of himself wearing a foam cowboy hat. Quote, "I saw a picture that has been used thousands of times of a cute little kid dancing in a cocky manner, smiling his butt off. Others chose to see the color of the kid. Who's the racist?" Lucas asked. So I just have one question for you guys. Should this guy be forced to resign? What do you think? I am going to post the link. It's NWI Times, right? So someone says Twitter feed wasn't working, by the way. Is it working now, Paul? Interesting. I'll have to look into the Twitter aspect of it. Good to know. Yeah, it looks like Periscope is... It says it's live. Whatever. Anyway, let's go back to this. Yeah, so what do you think? Do you think that picture is racist? Do you think it makes him racist? Do you think that you should only be able to put a picture up or a meme of people of your own race? Because that would let out a lot of entertainment. I mean, it just would. Does that does that then lead down the rabbit hole of, well, you can only watch things, right? Of your own race, of your own origins, right? Yeah, then you can't talk to people of another race. Yeah, so it's an interesting slope, right? We talk about slippery slopes, and does that count? Is that one? I don't know. So thank you, Paul. Paul says it's working currently nicely. All right, good. Thank you very much. So I worry, though. I'm going to tell you, I do worry, because everyone gets offended by everything now. We're seeing that at a national level, and even now at a more local level. There's nothing you can do, it seems, to avoid offending someone. And so it leads to the question, do we alter our behavior to avoid offending people? Or do we tell people, perhaps you need to develop a thicker skin? What do you think? Me personally, there are ways to talk to people without being intentionally offensive. I think some people take the speak your mind thing maybe a little too far. I'm not talking about Jim Lucas. I'm talking about in general. When you set out to hurt people's feelings or to degrade them or something like that, I think that sometimes that can be an issue. But if you're just expressing your opinion on something and someone takes that offensively, we encounter all kinds of problems. We're led to all sorts of issues and a slippery slope to where we have to censor ourselves to avoid offending people. Now, the interesting thing about that is you can claim that anything is offensive, right? We've seen that in our schools where there have been schools that have banned wearing the American flag because someone gets offended. Which I'd like to go on record, that's crap. The flag of our nation, if it offends you, maybe you shouldn't be in the nation where the flag offends you. Just saying. So Paul says, the white people then commented that his other meme was about poor white people who receive assistance. Oh, well, he posted the meme of the toothless white person, right? Again, people are going to be offended. When you set out, especially when you're running for office, right? I've always said it. If I win the primary, I fully anticipate that they're going to have a team of people. Whoever wins the Democrat primary is going to have a team of people going over my videos in order to pick out the things that people can be offended about. And they're going to cut it out. You're right. They're going to take little pieces. They're going to be like, he actually said this. Yeah, I did. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to apologize unless I know I'm wrong, right? I will. People who never apologize for anything, I think that might be a little too far, because there have been times when I have spoken things and turned out I was wrong. I will apologize for the things I've said that were incorrect, but I'm not going to apologize for things that you can be offended by.
Elections would be ugly.
Yeah.
You're at and if you're involved.
My wife says, and I do believe that she's 100% correct, this election is going to be ugly. No matter which side of the political spectrum that you're on, be it D or R, I think I find politics entertaining. And the reason I find politics entertaining is because I guess I find people who are offended by nothing, in my mind, entertaining. Whenever you take, let's look at Biden, right? Let's look at Biden. Because I have to. The guy can't string two sentences together. He can't speak for more than 5 minutes without notes. But if you say something about that to someone who is, a hardcore Biden person, they're like, no, Biden's going to lead us into the future. They get offended. And I find that entertaining. At the same time, right, the ones who will defend, look, we didn't elect Trump to be politically correct. Let me be very, very clear about that. The people that defend absolutely everything Donald Trump says, I think they're just, on the other side of that aisle. There's some stuff that Trump says, I'm like, he did not say that. There's no way that he actually said that. And the wife will bring it up. She's like, guess what he said? I'm like, dude, he didn't say that. Stop it. No, he really did. He really did. And then I'm like, oh my God. There are times, absolutely, where I'm like, no way. But I'm still glad he's president. I'm still glad that he won versus the other option, because can you imagine? I really want people to stop, turn off CNN, and think for a moment. Can you imagine what this country would be like right now if Hillary Clinton had won that election? Not only, right? Because look, there are people on both sides, and I've pointed this out before with Ryan Farrar, who said, if Trump wins again, I'm going to become one of those Second Amendment people because, we're experiencing tyranny. There are people on both sides that are extreme. But if Hillary Clinton had won the 2016 election, do you believe, and I'm curious as to your opinion on this, do you believe that there would have been armed saying, oh no, the election was rigged, we're going to do this, we're going to do this? You know what, Kenneth made Donald Trump, and this is, I agree. He says he is real and doesn't sugarcoat anything. That's what I love about him. Everything today is so PC, and I wholeheartedly agree. Politically correctness or cancel culture is destroying this country. This used to be a country where you could have a free exchange of ideas. You could talk to someone and you could say, look, I don't agree with you, and here's why, right? And I've noticed that, again, there are extremes on both sides, but for the most part, the logical, have a conversation, don't shut down, just talk about things, people seem to be conservatives. The scream and shut down and start insulting people, at least in my experience, seem to be on the left. Now, exceptions exist, and I've had some really good civil conversations with people on both sides. But yeah, Kenneth says he has never changed. That's him. I agree. He says what's on his mind. He doesn't care what it ends up looking like for the cameras. He doesn't care how it's going to get chopped up and used against him. He says what's on his mind. I agree with that. It's one of those situations where you either are going to communicate with the people and tell them how you really feel, or you're going to be constantly worried about the fallout, the political fallout. And that was my point. We were all asked to speak Saturday morning at the Breakfast Club. It's 463 GOP. It's the LaPorte County GOP party, right? It's not the official party, but it's like a breakfast club where they get together, they hang out, get to meet people and whatnot. I haven't had a chance to upload. My wife took a video of my speech. I will be uploading it. But essentially, my point was, we all in the 1st District, at least those that will be voting Republican, we want a conservative voice for Northwest Indiana. My point was, what good is a conservative voice that will not speak up? I'm the only candidate who has called attention, who has released a press release regarding Ryan Farrar's statements that we've talked about before. I haven't seen any other candidates address it. I haven't seen any candidates send out a press release. I haven't seen any candidates post a public letter. I haven't seen any candidates say, hey, this is not okay. A conservative voice that does not speak up is no voice at all. We need a representative, because let's face it, Republicans are under attack, and the Republican Party overall, there are exceptions, right? There's Thomas Massey, there's Rand Paul. There are exceptions. There are those that will speak up, that will say, hey, enough, right? Enough of this. This is ridiculous. We need a rep like that. We need a rep that's going to call people on the BS, that's going to say, this is stupid, stop it. No other candidate has said a word. That was my point in the speech. Again, I'm going to upload it when I finish my live stream, post it on my Facebook. I don't see any of that. Unfortunately, I can't see the link that you posted, Kenneth, while I'm doing this, but I will check it out afterwards. Apparently, Kenneth posted a link to a YouTube video. I have no idea what it is, so I can't thumbs up or down it because I don't know what it is. So my point of that is simply, when you go into the voting booth, right, and it's just you can verbally support someone all you want. But what I ask you to do when you get in that voting booth is to really think to yourself, I cast this vote, right? Is this person going to stand up and speak for me? Are they going to say enough, no more? Are they going to stand up? Because we know the House is overwhelmingly Democrat because of the 2018, right, election. And we've seen some issues with that election. We know that there was fraud in various locations, whether they want to admit to it or not. Paul says, and this is really what it comes down to, we need a congressman of the people, not the system. And there are those on both the left and the right that are of the system, that are going to get in this office and they're going to use it for their means, and they're not going to represent what you truly need, what you truly want. I know that the vast majority of you out there love the Constitution of the United States. You love this country just like I do. You want this country to stay strong and to stay independent of globalism, to stay independent of other countries' effects and control of us for our children and their children for many, many years to come. That's what I want. And I am willing to stand up and speak to that. I have heard from other candidates who they talk about, oh, I can reach these people, or I've done this, or I've been that. Okay, what are you saying today? What are you speaking to? And who are you speaking for today? And I'm not seeing them doing that. I'm not seeing them step up and say, you know what? I don't wish harm on anyone. And there are many circumstances where I get angry, right? I hear rumors about this. We see people's rights being taken away. And I get very, very angry. Look, we went out to lunch. Was it yesterday?
Big dog, yes.
Yeah, so we went yesterday to Zorn, right? We met up with a couple of friends to go and have lunch. And for those of you who have not been to Zorn, they have a huge dog. His name is okay. And my wife loves this dog so much. She was actually trying to figure out a way to get him to go in the car with us to come home with us. But he is huge. He was sitting there staring at her and begging, and it was awesome. Massive dog. He is so friendly. He is so calm. Amazing dog. But the point is, when we got to Zorn and we started walking up to the door, there were a lot of cars out, right? We were like, wow, this place is packed. And a large number of these cars had Illinois plates. And initially my wife's like, no, this is my restaurant. Why are all these people here taking my restaurant?
No, we can't come into Illinois. Why are you coming into
So I'm like, remember, their state's locked down, right? They don't have anything. They have to come over here. So she got it right after a minute. She's like, yeah, that's true. Welcome, Phipps. So yeah, I know I'm not supposed to say that, right? It's a Michigan City thing.
Welcome to freedom.
Yeah, welcome to freedom. Illinois people, come on in. So I get upset when I see like what Illinois is doing with lockdowns in Los Angeles. Guys, have you seen how long they're on lockdown for? They're talking about till August. August. What? But nonetheless, I still don't wish harm on these politicians, right? I disagree with them. I don't want them hurt. Would I like them to loosen things up? Absolutely. Would I like, if they're committing a crime, would I like to see them, charged and go to jail? Absolutely. But I don't want anyone. Oh, okay. Paul says I say Phipps every day. Okay. So it's not just a Michigan City thing. I'm not supposed to say that, though, because my understanding is these people find that term very, very offensive. The people who live in Illinois and just come over here, they find the term Phipps extremely offensive. If you are from Illinois and you find the term Phipps offensive, please let me know in the comments.
Be nicer to us.
Yeah, but you got to be nicer to the people who actually live here, because there does seem to be a degree of condescension, right, from Illinois people that are like look down their nose at the people who actually own the businesses that you eat at and own the land that you're driving down. Oh, Paul says he lives with one. Okay, do they find the term offensive? I'd be interested to know, because that's what I've heard. I've heard online that they find the term very offensive. That no, I'm no different than you, except in the way that they act. It's a Northwest Indiana thing, right? What about FMPS? FMPS, the Michigan people, right? Yeah, she's over. Chris says, "Who cares? They are FIPS." And that's my point. Going back to the beginning, you can find anything to be offended by, right? A term, a name, anything is offensive, or can be if you choose to be offended by it. Look, I grew up poor. Okay, my grandmother was married to my grandfather. They got a divorce. My grandfather owned a bar. He was very adamant that I was going to get the best education possible. So he insisted I attend private school. He chose to pay for it. Now, I lived in Mobile, Alabama at the time. I was very, very young. And that's a whole other story. Anyway, the school that I went to was the premier school in that area. I went to school with some very big names. My grandmother's car, she had an old Oldsmobile Delta 88. And it was that silver color that they actually had a problem with that year. The paint was like peeling and discolored, right? Now, the people that I went to school with got dropped off in limousines and Porsches and Jaguars. But I got dropped off in this raggedy Oldsmobile Delta 88 where, if you guys are familiar with it, I don't know, older people probably are. It used to have those plastic not covers, but like those rubberized things that would go from the taillight to the actual trunk, right? There was this rubber cover that would sit on it, and they would rot. So there was this hole between the taillight and the trunk. The car ran fine. It was but it was so ugly, right? It was so ugly. So I used to get picked on because I was the poor kid going to the rich. The point is, I could have held on to that all my life and hated all rich people. You can always find something to be offended by. I didn't. There's nothing inherently wrong with having money. I want to make that clear. But when you use that money to oppress people or to twist elections or to influence elections, like George Soros tries to do, yeah. So that leads me to Signgate 2020 again. So I'm going to tell you, there was an interesting. We were going to family's house to go and see them, and last time we went this way, there was a big McDermott sign. And it was in a vacant lot, and we looked at it, we're like, I wonder if he has permission. Well, this time, this wasn't that long ago. That was what?
But
It was a few days ago, wasn't it?
By Delaware, by the Family Express right after.
Crown Point, by the Family Express, by Delaware. By Delaware. It was in this field. And we're going, and we just came off the highway, and she's like, "Oh, I know there's this big, sign coming up. We had a break from political signs for a little bit. I'm ready. Here we go," and it's gone. So it's poof. Now my question is, I'm wondering, did the person who actually owns that field come along and say, no, or did this mysterious person who's going around allegedly stealing McDermott signs, did they strike again? Now, there's this whole big thing with that. Right. Like Chris Wallace says, what? On a vacant lot? Not him.
Should I get
I'm going to tell you.
And explain what happened when I was contacted by supposedly the person who knew the person who steal?
Oh, yeah. Life has a story. And this whole big thing, I can't do it justice. She's going to explain what happened, but while she's getting set up, do you ever notice how many of these McDermott signs are on either empty vacant lots or raggedy businesses, like closed up businesses? To me, not a good look. Number 2, you got to boost it. Put it about a little above halfway. Okay, let's slide that over. Say type. Here. No, say speak and find out. Let's see if everybody can hear her.
Can you hear me?
You're going to get a little bit of noise from the computer. I'm trying to show her how to turn this up. Hold on.
It is up.
Oh, you cranked it all the way. It shouldn't be all the way. There. Okay. So here we go. You guys speak up a little bit, probably.
This is such a long and convoluted and unnecessary story. But
just keep it. They don't want to hear all that.
I know. The sign that supposedly was stolen. Okay. So I had put out this thing in MX Cartoons that whoever this guy that was being falsely accused of stealing signs was, we would love to talk to him because he was abiding by the law and being picked on.
Right.
Come to find out that supposedly this guy was indeed not a guy trying to abide by the law, but
allegedly
an alleged McDermott supporter who stole the sign to basically get attention. So I get this unfriended message on Facebook from this lady. I can't even begin to say her name if I wanted.
It doesn't matter.
A lady that she knew who this individual was, and he wanted to get a hold of us. I said, well, what is his name? She said, well, they don't like him. She would not tell me his name.
Yeah, that was clue one.
She wouldn't tell me his name. I said, well, if he's going to reach, he doesn't have a Facebook. Okay, then how will I know who he is if he reaches out to me and you won't tell me his name?
Right.
Oh, well, he'll reach out to you. What's his name? I couldn't get a name out of him until the very end. But supposedly everybody hates this guy and he's just doing his duty. This guy's never reached out to me. And then came the photos of him behind the McDermott headquarters. So it's really I'm going to show that I'm breaking the law by breaking the law, but not really breaking the law to get attention. There are McDermott signs everywhere, to the point where I'm like, how much we're at unnecessary levels.
Yeah.
But we're getting to the point in this campaign where we're going to destroy our own property and then videotape destroying our own property to act like we're not destroying our own property just to destroy it and then get attention. It's insane.
So supposedly, that's what's going on with that. I will say this. I believe that without all of the money pouring in to the campaigns, that some of these people would be, let's say, a lot less popular than they would be otherwise. I'm really hoping that I can get some more deep dive information from this pack. Here's the story on that. I don't have confirmation yet, so I want to make sure that's very, very clear. These are allegations, but supposedly this pack that is endorsing McDermott. Hold on, let me turn this mic back off so that one goes away. Okay. So this pack that is spending $103,000, $102,000, something like that, to run television commercials for the McDermott campaign, it all tracks back to this meeting that was held allegedly for roads, okay, road improvement, stuff like that. He being McDermott, had sent some of his minions to this meeting from the road department, from another department. These people went out there, met with the people involved. Now, what I'm hearing is people involved actually track back. The funding came from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Gates Family Foundation, which was funded primarily by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. If that's the case, right? If that's the case, what do Bill and Melinda Gates want with a congressman from Northwest Indiana? Think about that. I don't know. When I have confirmation of it, I will share with you. I can tell you that the entire situation is very, very interesting to me. And what's key to remember on this is you are not allowed to hang out with a pack. You cannot coordinate, right? Politically, you can't talk to these people and be like, okay, I'm going to do this, and then you do that. That's right out by the FEC. You can't do that. What it appears is that since supporters, right, minions, workers, whatever, were sent to this, this gives plausible deniability. How much do you love that term? Plausible deniability. I know myself, I'm like, wow, really? I remember hearing it really, like, at least television-wise, the first time on Independence Day. You guys, how's that movie, right? I love it. But plausible deniability. Being able to say, I know nothing about that, and being believed. It's another thing that goes into the political pot, right? I myself, I don't take any of this stuff personally, right? You can't. Because when you're running for office, attacks are going to happen. People are going to question your character. They're going to say this about you, say that about you. What's the term? Water off a duck's back? Water off a duck's back. Yeah. So, but there are people out there that are truly slime, that care about themselves more than anyone else. They care about their wallet. They care about their bank account. And they're going to use their office to make as much money as possible. And that's nothing new. We know that happens in politics all the time. Why else do most people spend $3 million to get a seat that's only worth, that only pays $174,000 a year? If you're spending your own money, what's your motive? Especially when you spend, more than your salary. I've spent my own money, but I don't have $174,000 to spend anyway, or $3 million. But I can tell you this: if elected, I'm going to represent the people. You. I'm going to do what's best for Northwest Indiana, not what's best for all the. Do you realize today that corporations have more power than individuals? They have more protections. Legal protections. They are able to get away with anything just by shaking up the board, right? You change this board member, you change that board member, new CEO, boom, everything's fixed. I find that a travesty. We have to return power to the people of this country. And the only way to do that is by electing people that A, truly believe in the Constitution, and B, are willing to speak up, that are willing to get on the floor of the House of Representatives and say, this is not okay. We have to, the newest stimulus bill, which I don't even like that term, the newest coronavirus, CV, COVID-19, whatever you can call it now without getting censored, the newest bill that they've introduced, 3 trillion. $3 trillion. We're at a level to where it's not even real money anymore. It's figures and ones and zeros. That much money, I don't even think exists. We're bankrupting this country, and there are those people that are like, oh yeah, keep doing it because it's going to bankrupt the Fed. Until we are independent of the Fed, which I'd love to see, I'm also the only one to say that. Out of all of the representatives running, I haven't heard another single person say, the Fed's bad, we need to do away with it. Until we're independent of the Fed, what's happening is we're racking up unprecedented levels of debt for this country. I'm going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to pay for that. Our children's children are going to have to pay for that. And there are things, again, in these bills that have nothing to do with what they were introduced for. Tassi has said, and I happen to agree with him on this, that bills should be restricted to a single item. One thing, address one thing, and it should pass on the merits of that. I think that would be an exceptional amendment to the Constitution. If you are familiar with the what is it, Coalition of States, I forget the name of the exact thing. Is it Coalition, Congress of States, something like that? Is it Congress of States? Convention. That's it. Thank you. Right to the rescue again. Convention of States. And what they want is they want to get enough states together so that they can propose an amendment to the Constitution that will allow for a real budget, right? It will allow for term limits. I'm in favor of both of those. We have to do something. We have to do something. I haven't heard back from my finance guy. I'm going to get in touch with him again and see. If you're watching, you know who you are. Let me know. He was supposed to find out if the regulations would prevent him, because it is a tightly controlled industry. If regulations would prevent him from coming on talking about the Fed and gold, silver backed currency and why he thinks that would be a step backwards, I'd be interested. Again, I have my views, but I want to hear from those who know more about the particular subject than I do. And that's another thing that I think we need more of. We need more representatives that are willing to stand up and say, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to try to find out. I'm not going to tell you I know something when I don't. I have my strong feelings about the Fed. I have my strong feelings that we have to change the way we're doing things, or we're just going to get deeper into this hole. I mean, look at when we have a proposal like we have, and we haven't had a chance to deep dive into it. I know that it's $3 trillion. And the funny thing, I mentioned this earlier today, it's not funny because the people that are affected by it, I do feel for them, but the unions are calling for people to touch with their representatives because the way that this bill is written, there's some issues with pensions. I was going to say retirement plans, the word for it, right? Pensions. There's some issues in there, and their pensions aren't protected, and they may end up losing out, and et cetera, et cetera. They're angry. This was proposed by Democrats. Aren't they supposed to be the union saviors, the people that they look to? I'm just saying. It's unfortunate that we have become so divided as a nation along such lines, and I blame the press for that. I really, really do. We have people who are allegedly bringing us the news, but they're giving us their opinions more often than not. And left or right, both sides do it. I don't even know if I could name a truly independent news source now, one that just gives you the news without spinning it this way or that way. I don't know. Do you know of any? If you go to, what is it, media bias check or something, everybody's a little left, a lot left, or a little right, or a lot right. I don't know. Oh, Paul asks, do you know if Senate passed the second bill of sending 1,200 again? Not to my knowledge yet. I don't know. I had heard that it was up for proposal. Speaking of things that were passed, though, I do want to bring this to your attention. If you have not seen this, it is a privacy concern. And my understanding is that it actually got passed through the Senate. The House, we know how the House is. So it's probably going to get passed. My only hope is that President Trump vetoes this thing. It's about our browser history. History bill. Let's see here. Let's bring up. Okay, so. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I have to show you this because when you put in browser history bill, look, I'm showing you. Top stories. You ready for this? The Guardian. The U.S. Senate voted to let Trump spy on your search history, but all is not lost. This is what I'm talking about. He's going to be, I just think it's Trump sitting there going through, let's see, Joe, okay, he's like, oh, what kind of sick stuff is Joe looking up this week? He's just scrolling through Joe's history. He's looking up Tommy McDermott's search history. I don't want to see that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So Justice Department signals opposition to Senate's surveillance bill. Senate passes spying bill without search and browsing history. It was 3 days ago. This is, as far as I can tell, we lost because there were some people absent who co-sponsored the bill. Okay, so 3 hours ago, that's on YouTube though. 4 days ago. So let's just see what the Guardian has to say. Well, go away. Fine, whatever. I don't care. The cookies. With all the cookies. In a shameful vote this week as part of an extension of the dreaded and controversial Patriot Act. Now, I'm going to pause for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, because I think it's really important that you understand that of the conservatives that are running for office for District 1, I want the Patriot Act repealed. Our privacies have been chipped away endlessly. I think it's really important that we get that gone. There are mixed reviews from the other ones on the graphic that I've shown before. And Mont Hanley does not want the Patriot Act repealed. He actually thinks there should be, quote, restrictions on it. Why don't we repeal it and then set up whatever things we think would actually help without putting Americans at risk? Because we're supposed to have rights in this country, protected rights, rights that are inherently ours, but that's supposed to prevent the government from taking things away from us. That's what I'd like to see us get back to. Anyway, the Senate handed William Barr and the Trump administration the ability to spy on Americans' web browsing and internet search histories without a warrant. The vote on a bipartisan amendment to protect this information from government surveillance sparked immediate outrage online, and deservedly so. Our web browsing and search histories contain the most intimate personal information. Any administration, let alone the draconian Trump Justice Department, should be required to comply with the Fourth Amendment before trawling through it. Now, I want to pause just a moment, and again, I want to say, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you sit on, whether you love Trump or hate Trump. I do believe the Fourth Amendment is a critical part of our protection, right? It's there for a reason. Depressingly, the amendment failed to pass the 60-vote threshold by exactly one vote, 59-37, with two Democratic caucus members, including Bernie Sanders, failing to show up. As far as I can tell, we lost because there were some people absent. Ron Wyden, who co-sponsored the bill with Republican Senator Steve Daines, told Politico. Even worse, 10 Democrats, including Dianne Feinstein, Sheldon Whitehouse, and Mark Warner, sided with Mitch McConnell and the Trump administration and voted against the provision. Time and again, when it comes to privacy and civil liberties issues, some Democrats have consistently sided with the Trump administration, despite portraying the president as lawless and unaccountable on a variety of subjects. It never ceases to be infuriating. Now, again, this is The Guardian, and so they're going to spin things in just as a negative Trump light as possible. But they're all right about one thing. These Democrats that have claimed that the president and his administration are so incredibly lawless and unaccountable, think about this, are going to vote, right, are going to prevent a bill from protecting your browser history. Think about that, because that makes sense, right? And Chris says, he means they, so just remember, they will just lie to get a FISA warrant on you. Exactly. Which is another thing that I believe really needs to be looked at. I misunderstood FISA. I have since learned that it is not the Patriot Act that enables FISA. It's a separate thing. But in both cases, we need who represent this district, who believe in the rule of law, who believe that you are innocent until proven guilty. Look, the Patriot Act was sold to us as we have to conserve this country, we have to protect us from terrorists and evil people who would do us harm. And I fell for it at the time. I said, okay, yeah. Once again, we see that fear is a powerful motivator. Paul says old man Sanders is still setting up house number 4. Exactly. Look, whatever, what happened to him after he decided, I'm not going to do this president thing anymore? Did he get another house? Did he get a yacht? What did he get? Maybe some boats? Maybe some cars, some boots? I don't know. But it says here, but lost in the mix of this damaging loss for privacy, and perhaps even because of it, was some very good news. A second privacy-focused amendment to the Patriot Act, one that garnered far less coverage, but is potentially even more substantive, did pass overwhelmingly on Wednesday night. Because the substance of the amendment was much harder to fit into a headline, it received a fraction of the attention. But it may be because the vote on web browsing history sparked immediate outrage on Twitter. Politicians from both parties felt the need to accept it. The amendment, known as the Leahy-Lee Amendment, named after its bipartisan co-sponsors Patrick Leahy and Mike Lee, reforms the Secret Foreign Intelligence Surveillance FISA Court in a significant way. The FISA Court, which authorizes national security and foreign intelligence surveillance on U.S. soil, first came to the general public's attention during the Snowden disclosures. The court, for decades, would listen to the government's side of an argument for news powers in complete secrecy and almost never heard from the civil liberties perspective. The court was known to rubber stamp virtually anything the FBI or NSA asked for. We've seen this. This one-sided system, as the New York Times reported at the time, carved out classified exemptions to the Fourth Amendment and, quote, created a secret body of law giving the National Security Agency the power to amass vast collections of data on Americans without the public knowing about it. After the Snowden disclosures, Congress was forced to create an amicus curiae, or friend of the court, position, which at very limited times and at the court's discretion would be allowed to resist the government's arguments. Even though the position was extremely restricted over the past several years, it has been shown to work on the few occasions it's been used. The Lee Amendment, I don't even know how you say the guy's name. Lee? Whatever. Significantly strengthens the amicus position, giving the court's civil liberties representative much more latitude to access classified information and broadens their ability to weigh in on virtually all cases that may infringe upon the civil liberties of Americans. And here's where it gets interesting. The House passed a different version of a Patriot Act extension back in March. So now the Senate's version has to go back to the House so the bills can match up. It gives privacy advocates another opportunity to get through even more robust changes, like the Wyden Amendment, protecting our Google search data. This issue is not the same partisan fight that we have become so accustomed to in Washington. At least they acknowledge this. Instead of a Republican-Democrat split, like so many issues in recent years, the fight over privacy and the Patriot Act has pitted a bipartisan left-right coalition against the moderate pro-national security side establishment of both parties. Many Republicans crossed the line to vote with the majority of Democrats, while 10 Democrats sided with Barr and the Trump administration to hand them this power. Here's the part that, look, just to pause for a moment. Here's the part that people don't seem to understand is it's not just Trump. It is whatever administration happens to be in power at the time. Chris Wells says, innocent until proven guilty unless I believe. I will wholeheartedly agree with that. While it's incredibly depressing, Congress has failed to protect online privacy as it has become this generation's seminal issue. The fight is not over, especially if representatives hear loud and clear how much this issue means to America. Again, it's The Guardian, but I'm going to give you the link anyway. We, as a people, as Americans, have certain rights that are protected from being stomped on by the government. These rights are slowly but surely being whittled away from us. They have been crushed. In many cases, just cut slightly out, right? We need more people who are willing to stand up and say, enough is enough. We are tired of this. We are willing to have less security for more freedom. Because there's no such thing as a truly secure society unless it's dystopian. And there's no such thing as a truly free society that has utmost security. And that's simply the way it is. A voice, right? A voice does no good if it doesn't speak. That's all I'll leave you with tonight. I don't know what. She's over there making noise, like always. So, okay. So, let's see here. Paul has something. No, it's not. Just like Holcomb isn't the only issue in our to bad bills passed or freedoms not upheld. I agree wholeheartedly, Paul. Unfortunately, we need more to recognize that rights are not granted by the government. The only thing that happens with the Bill of Rights is it tells government these are off limits. These are their natural rights, and it's supposed to prevent government from infringing on those rights. Sadly, people that believe that the government is granting these rights, and so it's up to us. It really is. It's up to us to spread the word, to let people know that there are people who are running for office who believe innocent until proven guilty, who believe you should be able to say whatever you. I don't believe in censorship. For too many years, at least when I was a kid, right? You hang out with kids and kids are mean, right? Little kids, they're mean to each other. they are mean to each other. They say just the rudest, meanest, stab somebody in the heart. But you know what? You know what that does? It toughens your skin, right? As you grow up, you become resilient to that. We have a lot of kids now who are now adults, who are now voters, who were sheltered, who never heard that kind of stuff. I mean, unfortunately, that's what we're looking at. So it's up to us to keep our freedoms. We can't leave it to the next generation anymore. We've done it long. It's time to stand up. It's time to say enough. It's time to say no more. So I'm going to leave you with that. Again, just real quick, visit my website and email me if you want to sign. I'm almost out, guys. Like, seriously, how crazy is that? I ordered a bunch of them. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna need this many signs, but I'm gonna order more just in case, give them some extra business. Wow. It touches my heart with how many people wanted signs. Email me.
All our signs legally
yeah, and that's I just want to apparently there are these candidates who believe they can put their signs wherever they want. I'm not going to specify. You guys know who I'm talking about. You've seen the signs in locations that are like, really? I wonder if they got permission. If you want to help me, if you have extra money, if you want to see me run more social media ads, get my name out there, time's ticking, right? We're almost there. June 2nd. Look at that. 2 weeks and 2 days, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to help me out, you can donate online, dionbergeron.com, or mail it to my campaign headquarters, also known as my house. Look, it is what it is, right? I spent lots and lots of my own money on this. I have received donations, which I have spent on social media ads. Oh yeah, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, this Thursday, there will not be a Dion's Daily Dose. Instead, there will be the first virtual Republican debate for Indiana's 1st Congressional District. It's going to be amazing.
There will be a watch party.
There's going to be a watch party on my Dion for Congress page, so that'll be shared. My personal page, and there will be one on my wife's personal page. She's going to put it to MX Cartoons if you're in there. Yes, absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, Paul sent me a picture of a sign. I haven't uploaded it to the computer yet, but I might right before primary, just to show everyone what we're dealing with here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, nobody stop putting your signs where they shouldn't be. Signs don't vote, right? And if anything, for me, if I see a sign where I know it's not supposed to be, it's like, oh, I'm not voting for him or her or whomever, right? So Thursday, Republican debate. It's on Portage Republicans GOP page, Facebook page. They are the hosts of this debate. They will be using StreamYard, which, oddly enough, is what I use. Yeah, interesting how that works. Anyway, so I appreciate everyone coming out and joining me while I tell you about my computer. I'm telling you, my computer has it out for me, but it's working, so I can't hate it too much. It gave me just enough grief to where I learned to appreciate it. So I think that's how it works. And I think cars are the same way. I don't know if any of you have ever, bled into a car trying to fix it, but I have. Cars, computers, they have personalities. They are. It seems to be good now, Chris. What do you think? Let me get your opinion of tonight's show. Did the screen shares lag out less, or did you notice a difference at all? let me know in the comments. On my end, things are happening faster. So between the RAM that I upgraded and the CPU, personally, I think it's doing better. I'd still like to get a dedicated webcam. Oh, Chris says microphone seems off. Interesting. Okay, I might have to play with the settings on that. Maybe I will. The way that I have it set up, it's a little more high tech than the way I had it before. I might have to play with that a little bit. I will definitely get that addressed. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I will see what I can do. What about the screen share though? Oh, hold on. Okay, is that better, Chris? It is possible that the sound got turned up. Well, the gain on the mic got turned up too high and I was too close to it. Usually it's a little farther away. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it looks like it got turned up more than it should have been. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure everything is nice for Thursday. I'm gonna make the board really cool. Paul says he sent me a message about it. Unfortunately, my phone is being used as my camera. So unfortunately, while I am on the stream, I do not have access to my phone, which is what I mean. I'd like to get a dedicated, good, but I think that's it. I think that's the last little bit that I need. It's working fine, especially with the processor upgrade. It does seem to be doing better on the screen share and the lag and all that stuff, but I would like to have a dedicated cam. That way I could still, use my phone. But unfortunately, it's hooked up and is, doing this. I don't crank it up. This thing has 8K video on it. And who can even use that? Who can watch 8K? So 720p seems to be the highest resolution that it allows me to use with the app that I use to have it transfer through to the PC. Now, if anybody wants to know all the hassle and headaches that I went through getting the PC to work and all the glitches and stuff, I'd be happy to do a video on just that. But it was a lot. It was a lot, but seems to be working now. And apparently, once I turned the mic back down, I think it got turned up when we were messing with Liz's. So, yeah, it is what it is. But yes, Thursday, the 21st, set your alarm, set your calendar, 7 p.m. We will have multiple watch parties, and we will make sure that your favorite candidate represents himself very well. Study, right? Got to be on point, because for those undecided voters out there, I think that this debate is going to be really important for them to decide who am I going to support for this primary, who do I think can honestly beat. And that's the key that I really want you to think about, and I really want you to look at. The money will come. I don't like begging for money at all, but I will. It's politics. You have to. Campaigns need money. But I'm not going to beg people for money so I can what I consider waste it in a primary, right? Post-primary, we're going to need every single dime. The money will come. There are donors that are waiting, that are holding off, that are like, okay, who's going to win this? We're going to need a lot of money to win this seat. And we're going to need voices. We're going to need people spreading the word. That's what matters to me in the primary. People like you who have gone to your friends and said, hey, check this person out. People who have posted the things that I've sent out on Facebook and said, hey, listen to this guy. He makes sense. Signs in your yard. All these things are really, really important, and I greatly appreciate it. But post-primary, when you go into the voting booth to choose the person to represent the Republican Party in the general election, you have to think, who can honestly beat someone on the left? think about the demographics of the first district. Really, seriously stop and think. Think about who comprises the first district, voters, the D+8 district that we have, where is predominantly left-leaning, right? Are we going to be able to win with that hard right GOP talking point down the list? Is it someone who is relatable? Is it someone who can look at someone and say, yes, I know exactly what a green NIPSCO bill, looks like. For years, I didn't know they came in any other color. We didn't pay our bills. We prevented disconnect. It is what it is. We need someone who is able to reach across the aisle and say, I know you want Medicare for all. I understand why you want Medicare for all. Let me tell you what my idea that will provide universal health care, but will not, A, bankrupt the country, or B, force you to choose something. That's what we need. In my opinion, and it's something that you have to ask yourself, who is going to represent us the best? So, it's all for nothing if we pick a hard right talking point candidate and they do not get elected. We're going to end up with a lefty for another Lord knows how many years who votes with the Democrat Party. We do not need that at all. We need someone who's going to stand up for you, for us, for all of the district, and who's going to utilize their voice. Speak up and say, no, not at all. One of my mom's favorite sayings when I was a kid was, ain't gonna happen, Captain, not on this ship. She usually used it in conjunction with me messing up or saying something or whatever. But good evening. I'm going to sign off. Sometimes I can get to talking and forget what time it is. We have stuff we have to do. Food. So, hold on. Okay. All right. Do you want to tell him anything? Okay. All right. Donovan's over just off screen. He was deciding. There he is. He was deciding whether or not he wanted to do his little. Yeah. I could see it on your face. He was deciding whether or not he wanted to do his little sign off. So
you could see it, couldn't you?
I could see it on your face. So
that's exactly what I was doing.
I know.
Exactly. I was wondering if I should dart in there at the last second.
Right. God bless you, and God bless the